she's standing there. The Devi, the goddess, is standing there. All the devas, all the gods, all the male gods have got together and created her. They were very angry, and it's their anger that has created this goddess. It is unbelievable how angry they were, because the messenger came to them to tell them, one messenger came to tell them that there's this demon who has taken over the celestial world, and now all the normal gods, all the ordinary gods in the heavens are just doing, have been firstly sent down to the earth. Their jurisdictions have been taken away by him, and now they are all just languishing with no respect from anybody. And Mahisha, this very big demon, this very big asura, has taken over everyone. And they said, what do we do? You have to do something to help us. So they go to the three great gods. They go to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And it starts off with Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva just getting angry, and out of their anger, from their forehead and from their eyes, there's an effulgence, there's this light that goes through, and this being gets created. It's like a mountain of gold, and this being gets created. And then after that, they keep on. All the other gods join in, one by one. All of them join in, and they create this woman. And how do they create this woman? It's fascinating to see that in the scriptures we are told that every single limb of her body, her face, her breast, her eyes, her nose, her toes, her fingernails, everything is given by one god each. Then it's not just her body parts, but it's also the wonderful jewelry that she wears. So it's the beautiful necklaces that she wears, the earrings, the bracelets and the files, and everything is given by one god. So part of the scripture is taken up by that. But then it doesn't end over there. We have something else to take care of, because after all, she's going to be this warrior goddess. So each and every one of them gives their favorite Ayudha, that is their favorite weapon to her. So of course, Shiva, as we know, he has his Trishula, he gives the trident, and Vishnu, for instance, gives the chakra. And like that, one by one, she has so many weapons that we are told in the Devi Mahatmya, which is her ultimate scripture, that she has 1,000 arms to carry all those thousands and thousands of arms. And so she stands there, this beautiful woman, bejeweled with all the arms, all the weapons in her hands, and there she is ready. She actually starts roaring with delight, because all the males, when they see her, all the male gods, when they see her, they bow down to her and they say, victory to you, O goddess. Now they're calling her Devi. Mind you, they've not yet called her Mahishasuramardini. Mahishasuramardini will come only after the fact. But she knows she has an agenda. She knows that she's been brought to this world for one specific reason. And that specific reason is to destroy Mahisha, is to destroy this asura, to destroy this demon who has in turn destroyed the lives in all the gods in heavens. So what does she do then? She roars and she laughs and she makes a lot of sound. And when she's doing all that, all the gods are saying, bowing to her and saying, victory to you. And she goes, ha, ha, ha. Literally, it's like a film, like a dramatic theater. And she goes, ha, ha, ha. And then comes Mahisha. He hears this roaring sound, and he comes there and he's this demon, and he sees her and he says, my God, what is this? And so she says, she doesn't say anything, then she just keeps on roaring. So he gets so angry with her that he starts attacking her, because he knows that she's come there with all her weapons, and he starts attacking her. Now, what unfolds in the scripture is this marvelous, martial scene. It's just so much of, it's so full of drama, so full of emotion, because we find that Mahisha, he thinks he's so powerful. He has all these generals with him, various generals who give him all their weapons, who give them all their chariots, and then she has all her weapons with her. But he thinks he's going to defeat her easily. She's a woman after all. Who is she? I mean, he's defeated all the male gods. Who is she? So what we find that the battle takes place, and the description of the battle, there's even a sense of humor. There's a sense of macabre. It's very, they have descriptions of blood just flowing, rivers of blood flowing. But they also have funny things like when she's sending out her arrows, then, the asuras are resembling porcupines, for instance. They've got so many arrows on them, they're scuttling away like porcupines. Or we hear that, half the body has been dismembered. Or sometimes we hear just the limbs have been dismembered. And then we also have this very amusing story in which the battle is taking place, and the goddess has managed to decapitate the generals of the army. And yet they are dancing because there's so much of music there. There's music of the drums, there's music of the blowing of the conch, there's music of the twang of a bow. I mean, there's just so much of noise to this. It's this whole picture that gets created in this picture. The scripture, Devi Mahatmaya, which belongs to circa 7th century, is just marvelous the way they create with all the 9 rasas there. You have everything, where you can be awestruck, where you can be frightened, where you can get horrified, where you can get disgusted. All the emotions, all the rasas come into Devi Mahatmaya. Now she's still called Devi, but not just Devi. She's called Chandika, she's called Bhadrakali. She's in the text we hear, she has so many different names. And that is one feature which I would like to highlight right now, because this text brings together so many different goddesses, so many regional goddesses belonging to different parts of India, because after all, this goddess is popular all over India and beyond, whether it is in Nepal, whether it is Southeast Asia, whether it is Sri Lanka. She is popular everywhere in all parts of India. And what is interesting, we call it this ancient goddesses, but she's not just an ancient goddess, because as you will see in the slides that I will show you, she is popular every single time around October in whole of India, in the entire Indian subcontinent. For 10 days, life comes to a standstill because this particular Mahishasuramardini is worshipped for nearly 9 or 10 days. So we find that she's okay. Let's go back to the battle. And so there's this battle ensuing. Now, what happens is when Mahisha's entire generals, it's like he's a little bit, I would say a bit of a coward, because once his generals all die, then he says, okay, now I have to come in by myself and fight. So he comes into the battlefield and he starts fighting with her. Now she has wonderful weapons. She has the noose, she has the trident, she has spears, she has pikes. She gets the noose and she puts it around his head. So the moment she does that, now he's a shape-shifting Asura. He's a shape-shifting demon. He shifts his shape. And then first he becomes the buffalo. Once he becomes a buffalo, she attacks him, she decapitates. Again, he immediately changes into a lion, then he changes into a man again. So as she's fighting with him, you can just see that he's going on changing his form. And finally, he once again becomes the buffalo again. And we hear then what a buffalo is all about, how his hooves are working, how his horns are working. The horns are making the clouds disintegrate. The hooves are pounding up the earth. His lashing tail is just making the oceans overflow. So we have these descriptions of the buffalo. And then finally, she catches hold of him. She puts the noose around his neck. And just 1 minute, please. With that, she decapitates him. And he's dead, and nothing can be done about that. And everybody roars and everybody screams and says, oh, victory to you, goddess. You have removed this horrible man, this horrible demon from our lives. And he's decapitated. And we are told that she is the greatest goddess, and she's going to bring so much of luck to them throughout the year because this has happened. Now, why? What does this story tell us? We know for a fact that even now in India, so many parts of India, buffaloes are decapitated, buffaloes are sacrificed for the goddess. There's this whole belief that the goddess loses, there's so many ways of looking at it. The goddess loses her blood every month through menstruation. She needs blood. The goddess goes out to work for us and helps us in diseases, etc. So she needs the blood. She needs someone to be sacrificed. And what can be better than the buffalo? It is really sad because it's almost racist. When I was doing my research, buffaloes, we were told, and there's a legend, there's a story, in fact, that when the devas, when the gods made the earth, they guffawed, and the asuras were watching and said, are you capable? Asura said, well, you made the earth, but there's nobody moving around. There are no human beings, there are no animals. They said, why don't you try? So they try and they make the buffalo, and we are told that the buffalo is the most ugliest animal because it's black skinned, it's hairy, it's got short legs, it's got ugly looking eyes. This is what we are told in the legend and in the fables, that the buffalo is not a good looking animal. So that buffalo is treated very badly, as you can see here. And finally, when she kills him, she is given the epithet Mahishasuramardini. That is Mahisha, the one who tramples Mardini, the one who tramples Mahisha. She tramples him, she kills him because she uses her leg to kill him. And it's very sad for me today because I know what's happening in America, how the knee is used exactly in that same way. The knee is used on his neck and he's pressed down and she decapitates him. So we know what's happening currently in America and all the problems that are there. It just reminded me of that because you'll see the images also. She's got her knee on him. Now, the thing is that we are told that she doesn't use weapons to kill him. She uses basically her bare hands. And the earlier images that we see, she's using her bare hands. And we are told that Devi, the goddess, she dislikes him so much because, you know, he's full of tamas. He's full of darkness. He represents the darkness of human beings. The fact that we're all ensnared in the material world. You know, metaphorically, you can look at him as representing so many things that we need to get rid of every year when we worship this Durga or we worship Mahishasuramardini. But at the same time, historically, it has been said by anthropologists and historians that most probably when the people were settling down in India, they came across this buffalo. And there was an entire set of people who owned buffaloes, and probably there was a cult of the buffaloes. And maybe there was this kind of cultic tension. That is one of the favorite things I like to talk about, the cultic tension between those who worship the buffalo and those who worship the goddess. And the two were brought together through this myth, because after all, it's a myth, it's a story that has resonated with people over so many centuries, because the first image that we find goes back to circa 1st century BC. So from 1st century BC onwards, we continue to see them. To this day, in 2020, we find images of Mahishasuramardini made, millions of them made throughout the country and beyond, and people worship her regularly. So what I would like to say is that the conflict between the two represents some kind of cultic tension. It also gives us an idea of sacrifice. It also is said that when Mahisha is ultimately killed, ultimately when he dies, after all, he has killed himself for the goddess. So it's also something good for him. It's not just harm being done to him, because after all, now he's going to attain salvation. So we're also told about that. So there are a lot of different threads and different ideas that come into this Durga and, into Devi and into Mahishasuramardini. But what I find in the Devi Mahatmya, the very first text which I'm talking about, which is dated to around 6th century, it took so long for a Sanskrit text to get created. It took so long for the Brahmins, we normally look at the Brahmins being the ones who were the people who wrote all the major scriptures in Sanskrit, and they sort of like incorporated the ideas of the autochthonous people, of the local peoples. They brought them and they beautified them, they changed it, they modified it a little bit, and then they put it into the Purans. So we find the Devi Mahatmya as part of the Markandeya Puran, which is dated around 6th century, 7th century CE. So when we find the text, when it comes and we say, okay, so her appearance is already there in art, in sculpture, in little rectangular platelets. She's already found there, conflicting and killing the buffalo. But why is it that it took so long? So I would think that it would have been unpalatable to the Brahmins. It would have been unpalatable to large sections of society, probably even to the elite in its raw form, that there is a goddess, a woman of all things, a goddess / woman who is killing a buffalo demon, and not just killing a buffalo demon, but she is also drinking the blood of the demon. She is also seen drinking the wine. She is also getting completely intoxicated. Her eyes are red. It seems like she's relishing this whole war. It's not just that she's good over evil. It's not something as simple as that. It is also her relishing warfare, relishing being part of this army, relishing having this army. We are told that each time she takes a breath and she exhales, from her mouth emits so many warriors, so many people who are coming out to help her. She's just a warrior god, and she's relishing it. Now, maybe it's possible that it was the Kshatriyas, that is the warrior caste in India, who were patrons of this goddess, because her name, other epithet, we know that all these goddesses have like at least 1,000 names. One of her names, popular names, is Durga. And Durga, if you do the etymology of Durga, Durga comes from Durg, that is fortress. And all the Rajas and all the Rajputs and all the kings lived in the fortresses. And we are told that she is the one who is impenetrable. She is the one who can never be defeated. So she may have been a patron goddess of the Kshatriya clan. And therefore we find that the richer people, the Kshatriyas, may have wanted her, and we know that before they went into battle, they would have an animal sacrifice. sacrifice. So this myth brings in animal sacrifice. This myth brings in the idea that we have to let the bad out of our mind. This brings in so much of history which we don't want to leave behind, but we have beautified it. We have not allowed that kind of rawness to stay in the myth. And so we don't hear today that she would get drunk. We do not hear today, in fact, there were people who were very unhappy when somebody pointed out that after all, your Durga drinks wine regularly and gets intoxicated. And there was a whole hue and cry among the RSS and among other, some other political parties saying that, how can you say that our goddess being like that? It's like, we've done a whole lot of defanging of the goddess when we say that she does that. And people don't believe it. But you go back to the scriptures and you'll find in the scriptures, all the details are there. She's a meat-eating goddess. She's a wine-quaffing goddess. She's one who roars and yells and screams in delight when she's killing. She's feeling wonderful once she's decapitated Mahisha.